You are Locked On Chargers POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right. Hello and welcome once again to the Locked On Chargers POSTCAST on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. You can also listen wherever you find your podcast on the Locked On Chargers podcast feed. I am Pete Fox, Sports LA, dating back to 2007 for ESPN LA and NBC Sports Radio, joined by the one and only Kenyon Barner. 10 years in the NFL, 3 rings, and a dominant college performance every time the Ducks were off against the Trojans. So congratulations on all of that. How you been, man?
Been good, man. Been a great week. Had some great football.
Yeah, dominant performance today from the Chargers, 26-3. I do a little hit in Kansas City every Thursday for a Chiefs pregame show. They do, they bounce around all the AFC West teams, and we give them 10 minutes on what's going on with the Chargers and the Raiders and the Broncos, etc. So at the end of every segment, he wants me to predict the score, and I always do it, and I'm very rarely right. Today, I said 24-14, so I was pretty close with the Chargers.
You were too far off.
But the Panthers just did not come to play today. My question for this game, I don't know where I fall on it. I'd like to hear where you fall on it. Was this 3-point performance by the Panthers something the Chargers made happen with a stingy defense, or was that Panther offense just not clicking today?
Listen, I'm never going to make something more than what it is or less than what it should be. The Panthers are a bad football team right now. As great as the Chargers played on today and their defense was stout, no question about it, the Panthers are a struggling team. Last week they gave up defensively, they gave up almost 200 yards on the ground. They're just not a good team right now. And it had a lot to do with what the Chargers were able to do defensively, but also with the lack of what the Panthers were able to produce on the field offensively.
Yeah, I thought it was definitely a little of both or a lot of both. I've not watched a lot of Bryce Young. I know he's a SoCal kid, born in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, but went to school at Mater Dei here in SoCal after Cathedral in LA for a minute. So I'm aware of the guy. Obviously, we know him from Alabama. He was a USC guy for a minute. And then decided to defect and go be a Crimson Tide. So we're aware of him. Won the Heisman. Great college career. I don't know if he's ready for the NFL yet. That doesn't mean
exactly. It doesn't seem it's just not clicking for him. And this isn't an easy transition. I was having this conversation a little while ago with some kids, and they were asking me about from college and going to the NFL. I said there's some guys who can go in that transition is seamless. There's some where there's a learning curve that has to be caught up to. And right now, this is what it's looking like for Bryce. He's just not ready mentally. If you look at the throws that he's making, he's late on throws. He's missing guys. He's uncomfortable in the pocket. And as a quarterback, that's not something you want to be.
Yeah, I thought even the little out routes, the dump passes, oh no, there's Joey Bosa's in my face or Khalil Mack's in my face, I got to get rid of this ball. It was like 5 feet away from the receiver. These little dump passes that should be the safety valve, he couldn't even hit those. So yeah, you're right. It doesn't appear to be a good team at all. Obviously they had the number 1 draft pick for a reason.
Exactly.
So it just, to me, it was like, look, the Chargers made life defensively very difficult for them. And the thing that I came away from this game with, from a Chargers defensive performance, it wasn't the line like we talked a lot about last week. And granted, Bosa had a sack and so did Perriman.
Right.
I felt like the corners were just suffocating. And that's a great characteristic to have of your defense.
When you're not scared of a deep threat, it's very easy to guard someone. You become one-dimensional, and the Panthers are a one-dimensional offense. I don't think they took a shot downfield at all during this game. So when you can just sit back and you can expect routes under 15 yards coming at you all day long, it makes it a lot easier to cover somebody. You're not worried about double moves. You're not worried about anything that would actually cause that will become a threat to you. And the Panthers presented no threat whatsoever in the passing game. So the Chargers did what they were supposed to do today. Point blank period. They came in and they did what they were supposed to do.
Kristen Fulton breaking up passes, Asante Samuel Jr. That guy Elijah Molden had a heck of a game filling in for somebody was injured. So he was starting because that dude was injured. 7 tackles, 4 solo tackers, an interception, and a pass defended. So a great day for him. Yeah.
If you go back to his college tape out at UW, that's who he is. He's a guy, when he gets on that field, he's going to perform. He's going to make tackles. He's going to get interceptions. That's who he is as a player. And today he was given the opportunity and he capitalized on it. So hopefully he gets more of an opportunity with showing what he can do.
Yeah, the thing that I liked most about this game, Kenyon, is that they came out right away and threw the ball to Quinton Johnson.
Got him going.
Yeah, exactly. Like right away. I mean, it was so by the script. Obviously, that first series was very efficient, and they had a script for it, and it worked out perfectly. Like, here's the ball. We're going to build your confidence up right away.
Right off the rip.
Yeah, and then we're going to give it to J.K. Dobbins and let him pound it down the field and just wear out that defense right away. I mean, just a beautiful first drive, didn't you think?
I thought it was a beautiful drive. And what I loved was I seen an identity. This was a Greg Roman game. Being in Baltimore with him back in 2020, I was out there for training camp with those guys. And this is what Greg Roman wants to do. He wants to be able to run the ball. So I was extremely excited to see them come out and be as physical as they were. And the physicality sets the tone for the game. You can only set that tone in the run game. So I was very happy to see that. Very happy to see JK get it going. Gus, all those guys, they had a day today.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing about good football teams, and that's what you have to feel good about if you're a Charger fan right now, that this team has an identity and they know who they are. It's not fancy. It's not flashy. They've asked me a couple of different times about how do I feel about the passing game for the Chargers, and where is that? How would you grade it? What are we going to see from the passing game from Herbert and these receivers? And I said, look, Herbert doesn't know these guys yet. He's getting comfortable with them, and it's going to get better every week. And here we are 1 week later from last week when it was like, hey, nice to meet you. I'm Justin Herbert. Here's like, Quinton Johnson, I'm going to feed you the ball, and we're going to get it to Lab McConkey, and it's going to be not great, but really good. Johnson, heck of a day, 5 catches, 51 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. So that catch from Quinton Johnson was not only a perfect pass, but he made.
Are you talking about his first touchdown?
His first touchdown was great.
Yeah, beautiful.
That was perfect pitch and catch. I mean, you couldn't draw that up any better. He got around the receiver and just
fought through contact. Yeah,
it was
fought through contact, found the ball, the location of the ball. It was beautiful. Was
it a better catch or a better throw?
I'm a Herbie guy. I'm biased.
I agree. I think the throw was perfect.
I'm biased.
I mean, it was a great catch, but that was
he put it in a spot where nobody else could get to it except Johnston. So, absolutely. It's both. They went hand in hand.
Yeah, all in all, I mean, a great first drive, and that set the tone for the whole game. And the Chargers came out and did just about everything they wanted to do. I'll be honest with you, Kenyon, it was kind of a boring game. I mean, it's good to win. It's good to win easy, but it was just like, all right, whatever. I'm hungry. I need a snack. I mean, it was just like, I'm going to go get some chips and, get ready for the show. Like second quarter, I was like, the second half rather. Second quarter was still kind of interesting, I guess, a little bit, 20-0, but not really.
Interesting on what part?
I always think halftime when the team that's down, is getting shut out. They go into the locker. You can tell me if I'm wrong. You've been in those locker rooms. I never have. When they go into the locker room, when they're being shut out, the thought process has to be, hey, they scored 20, we can score 20, right?
I don't know if Carolina thinks that. I don't care. I don't care what your coach. Your team from a player standpoint. So your coach can come in there with the greatest speech of all time, but when you're looking around that locker room and you know what you have in there, that's not going to happen, coach. That's just not what it is. We got to find a way. But that's what you're saying is not what it is.
Not what they were thinking. No. This Carolina Panthers team. Did I hear this stat right? They've had 7 coaches in 6 years.
That's incredible.
That's close to right. Even if it's the other way, I think it might have been the other way. 6 coaches in 7 years.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Right. Anything in that ballpark. What? That's not what you're looking for.
That's not sustainable for winning culture. And right now they're struggling. They're struggling. That organization, they have to give a coach an opportunity. Obviously the NFL is a right now business, but you have to give a coach an opportunity to get his guys in, his coaching staff and all of that for things to go the way that he desires. You can't just continue to move on. And then from a player standpoint, especially, let's get back to Bryce. He doesn't stand a chance going through different coordinator, different head coach. That's not going to be beneficial for his career. That's your first round draft pick. You have to get people around him that he can trust, and that trust relationship has to be built. And that's hard to do when you're constantly changing things out.
All right, we'll hit the first break. It's the Locked On Chargers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel. He's Kenyon Barner. I'm Pete Fox. You can also listen wherever you find your podcasts on the Locked On Chargers podcast feed. We thank you guys for hitting the like button and signing up. We had over 1,000. What did we get to last week? 1,700, Kenyon. That's a good start for the Chargers podcast. And we appreciate you guys allowing us to be your source for your team every day. We'll take the first break and come back. I'm going to tell you more about what I believe to be a winning characteristic for this Chargers team. So hang on. All right, today's episode of the Locked On Charger postcast is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Well, they got something a little different for you now through September 22nd. So time is winding down to get in on this great deal. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get 3 weeks free of the NFL Sunday ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season afternoon out of market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Check out this great deal. Head over to FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. Today's episode also brought to you by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn that very liberal rate of 5% APY, annual percentage rate. Yield, annual percentage yield. Only reason I know this stuff is because I have been searching around for some investment opportunities late, and I've been checking out Robinhood for sure. Uninvested cash, you can receive an unlimited 1% deposit bonus. That's huge. Just for depositing money, you get a 1% bonus and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of high net worth for an annual for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product specific disclosures, visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rates may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. All right, Chargers with a dominant performance today. I don't think the Panthers were ever really in this one. Other than 0-0. 26-3, Chargers improved to 2-0. And the thing about this game, John, that we've heard this all season long. It builds confidence in me as a Charger fan that they are what they say they are, right? We hear a lot of times, this is what we want to do. This is who we are. And then you watch the game and you're like, well, that's not really what they are. But the Chargers, they want to be a running team. They want to slow the game down. They want to wear out the defense. And that is the characteristic to me that I really like about this team, that they want to run the ball. Obviously, with Justin Herbert, you're going to throw the ball. They have to mix that in, but they want to wear out the defense. And they clearly did that today by running the ball. But the other headline of the game plan was a more balanced attack. I felt like the attack was more balanced. Did you?
I definitely felt like it was more balanced. It may not have looked the way that the fan base desires it to look from a passing standpoint, but the balance in the play calling was there. And like you said, the luxury that the Chargers have right now is that they have a run game that is impactful. They have a run game that can go out, take over a game, control time of possession until this passing game finds its footing. And you have to understand, I think the oldest guy on the receiving core is maybe 4 years within the NFL. So this receiving core is young. Herbert's coming off that injury. So there's still a level of comfortability that's not there that will be there the more that football is played. So give it some time, guys. Don't panic. Don't hit the panic button on the passing game. Understand who you have at that quarterback position and understand that guys are going to emerge as season continues to go forward.
Yeah, no, that is a great place to be. He was 14 of 20 today for 130. So not, numbers that are like, okay, whatever. But
those aren't Herbie numbers.
Right. But if you watched this game at all, you're like, he didn't need to do much more than that. Yeah. And, the thing about, I think that maybe we're looking past a little bit but this to me is also a very good characteristic for this team. First half was a little sloppy. I don't want to say shaky. It was a little sloppy. They had the turnover and they got a little lucky there on that one call that kind of bounced their way. They weren't sure if it was an interception or not. I'm sorry, a catch and fumble. That's what it was.
Catch and fumble.
And they went back and looked at it and said he didn't have control of it. So it ended up still being the Chargers ball. And the very next play was the touchdown to Quinton Johnson. So they took advantage of that. But there were some times where you were like, if this was a better team on the other side, Chargers might be in trouble. But the fact that they just kind of took those punches, I think, and just like said, whatever, shook them off and rolled on. It's a nice characteristic to have.
Great characteristic, but it's to the point of what you said. Playing against a bad team, you could get away with that type of stuff. But anyway, as season goes on, you begin to play the better teams. You play the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to capitalize on those mistakes. So for Herbie with the ill-advised pass that he made that was picked off, and then in the pocket with the fumble towards the end of the game, just hold on to that. Sometimes you got to live to fight another day. So those are things that this team will learn from, but going against better teams and a better level of competition, those are things that cannot happen because every possession is valuable in the NFL.
Yeah, it's not often you lose the turnover battle and win the game.
And like still win the game.
Yeah. 6-3 and you lost the turnover battle. That's crazy. Yeah. But there was a couple times that I really like. Herbert ran the ball at least once or twice.
I was excited about that.
Actually 6 times. What? I only saw it like once or twice, but then again, I told you I was eating chips after this game. There was a couple of nice times where, the pocket started to collapse and Herbie was like running around and extending the play and then finding Disley. I like that guy to me. I love sure-handed receivers, and that to me is what we have in Disley. This guy is just a big safety blanket for Herbie, right? I mean, he just runs out and Disley's just kind of standing there. Hey, you can throw it to me. I'm open.
I'm here.
Yeah, I love that kind of receiver. We need a Quinton Johnson too to go down the field, or Ladd McConkey in the slot. You need all of them, right? But
absolutely,
Will Disley has to be his safety blanket, don't you think?
Yeah, he's what you call a possession receiver. When it matters and you need a catch, you're going to go to your possession guy. And Will is exactly that. He's going to catch the ball. He's going to get it going. Tough, hard yards. So I'm excited. I'm excited about what this receiving core can grow into as time continues to go forward.
Yeah, Disley was 3 catches, 29 yards. Ladd McConkey, 2 and 26 yards. I think he is a guy, obviously, as a rookie that is.
I was going to ask you what you think about Ladd.
Look, we don't know a lot, but I feel like
I like him.
I do too. What we know is really good. I mean, he seems like another possession guy, and obviously because he's a smaller white guy, he's really fast. Right?
Right.
So, that's the way it goes, right? So you don't have small white guys that are slow. You have small white guys that are fast. So you appreciate that aspect of him, but I feel like for him and for the team, right, the future, it just seems really bright. And they're just kind of like, we don't want, if he was a baseball pitcher, he'd get like his pitch count would be 20 pitches. Like you're just going to go out for 1 and maybe 2, and then we're going to pull you out of there. But they're not pulling him out. They're letting him out there in the game, but they're not throwing him the ball a lot, which is fine. because he's still getting comfortable with Herbert, and they're all getting comfortable with Herbert. So the future for the possibilities, if you will, are very, very high, because it's just going to take time. And the fact that they have another option in the running game is great, because they don't need to worry about, hey, we don't have to throw the ball right now. We will a little bit. We want to have a balanced attack, which they came into this game telling us about, and they did. They provided that. So I feel like, they had a game plan. They stuck to the game plan.
Stuck to it.
Yeah, A's across the board based on, hey, this is what we want to do, and this is what we did, and it turned out to be a comfortable, easy win. The only thing, I guess, that if you had to say something to the coaching staff about, or hear something from the coaching staff about what they can clean up, turnovers, obviously.
Right.
That could be a little bit better. But all in all, the defense performed. They got after the quarterback, which is something that we wanted more of last week, and they got a little bit more of it last week coming out of preseason. Today, a couple of sacks, which I was a little surprised. Maybe they could have had more. But yeah. I mean, Bryce does run around. He's hard to catch. So,
he's a quick guy.
Yeah. And I think from that perspective, I was a little surprised that Bryce didn't run the ball more, right? They talked about it at the time he did run the ball, 1 carry, 6 yards. But they said, look, he ran the ball a fair amount at Alabama when they won the national title. Why isn't he running the ball more now? And it's a fair point.
I think it's a confidence thing. When your confidence is off, you don't play like you at all. And this isn't the Bryce. This isn't that first round draft pick that they got from Alabama. This is a completely different guy. I remember going into my second year, my confidence was completely shattered. I was not the same player. Coach Ron Rivera out at when I was playing for the Panthers, Ron Rivera, David Gettleman pulled me to the side and was like, listen, your confidence is not here. You're not running like the guy we drafted. You don't look like him. We want you to get your confidence back. And that at this point in time, they had traded me to Philadelphia, and they told me, we think it's best for you to get around somebody who knows you, that can get your confidence back. I think the Carolina Panthers need to bring someone in that knows Bryce Young, that can help him get his confidence back, because this is not the Bryce Young that we know. He's a dual threat quarterback, and right now he's absolutely one-dimensional, and he's not good at what he's trying to do. So it's unfortunate. It's sad to see, but it's a long season. Things can change, but they got to get it together over there.
Yeah, this is the unfortunate part about the NFL with top draft picks. Most of the time, they end up on bad teams, and it's tough for them to get their footing. Right?
That sucks. I'm not gonna lie.
And this is one of the great things about Justin Herbert. When the Chargers got him, they weren't terrible. They weren't great. They were just kind of okay.
Yeah.
So he had at least a building block to start off with, and a lot of young quarterbacks don't have that fortunate situation. Bryce Young among them. So
he's in a real bad situation. Let's be honest. He's in an awful situation.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for them to find their way. I don't know what it is. I like it's Chuba Hubbard. I think it should be Chubba Hubbard because it rhymes. Come on, Chubba Hubbard, not Chuba Hubbard. But, he's
I like it. Has a good ring to it.
Exactly. All right. Our final break. When we come back, I will tell you my player of the game, and then Kenyon will tell you his player of the game. Not too hard to figure out. We're not going too deep into the box score here, but nonetheless, we'll see who got to the first best player of the game first. So we'll do that right after the break. I'm Pete Fox. He's Kenyon Bonner. This is the Locked On Chargers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel. All right. Be right back, Kenyon. Today's episode of the Locked On Chargers postcast is brought to you by our friends at PrizePicks. I'm a big PrizePicks fan. I am one of the 5 million active members to join PrizePicks and be a part of the #1 daily fantasy sports app. You can pick 2 to 6 players and their stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. It's just you against the numbers. You don't have to play against other people. This month, all September long, I almost said all semester long, as school's starting all over the United States. 1 Caleb Williams passing yard will get you a PrizePicks victory in the month of September. So really then all you got to do is select one other one to get a freebie, to get a victory rather, because they're giving you a freebie. So don't miss it on that. When September ends, it is all over. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. PrizePicks is the best way to get action on sports in most states, including a lot of states that don't allow other sports action. California, Texas, and Georgia among them. PrizePicks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out your lineup even if it isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Download the PrizePicks app today and use the code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's LOCKEDONNFL on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. It is a lot of fun and very easy, and tons of options there for you, especially with football season here in full force. So check it out, prizepicks.com. Download the app, use the code LOCKEDONNFL, and then get some free money, $50 instantly when you play just $5. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, Chargers take care of business, improved to 2-0, 26-3, dominating the Carolina Panthers. They did it mostly on the ground, but they told us they wanted a balanced attack, and that's what they gave us. So here we go. Here we go, Ken. Now, hold on. This is the first time we're doing this. This is my first graphic here on Locked On. I've not done this before, so I'm hoping this works out, okay? Here we go for our players of the game. Hey, it worked.
There we go.
Surprise, surprise. J.K. Dobbins and Quinton Johnson. I mean, not hard to figure out there.
Not at all.
Of this game. I was thinking, like, maybe I'll go find a defensive guy, but I mean, Dayon Henley had a good game, 10 tackles. That's a lot, right?
That's a really good game.
You can't overlook those two dudes. I mean, J.K. Dobbins, right? What'd you like about his game?
I loved one. Let's get something out the way first. I'm happy to see my guy healthy. Being with him in training camp out in Baltimore, I really got an opportunity to see this dude is a freak. Maybe not size and stature, but his ability, he is a freak. The things that I was able to see him do, I'm so happy to see him running healthy, laughing, smiling, and being out there to play this game that he loves. And I'm happy that the NFL world is getting an opportunity to see him healthy. So for me, obviously 17 carries, 131 yards. 1 touchdown. My guy had a day. His physicality, breaking tackles, extending runs, yards after contact. He just had a day. He had an absolute day. And listen, Charger fans, you still have not been able to see him out of the backfield as a receiver. This guy can catch the ball. So I'm excited about, as this season continues to move forward, about what you're going to see from JK. I'm just super happy for my guy. I'm extremely happy for him.
Yeah, that play when he busted off that 29-yarder was it was almost like he broke through the line untouched, right? It was just really nice run, and maybe it was more. The 29-yarder was the Johnston touchdown pass, who's my guy, because I thought that catch was fantastic from a great pass, just a perfect play. And then the second touchdown was also just brilliantly executed, although easier because he was just wide open,
that can go unnoticed. That can go unnoticed. A lot of receivers will run themselves into being covered. So being able to find that open spot, sit there, be available for the quarterback when the quarterback gets his eyes to you, that can go unnoticed.
Yeah. So the what was the 43-yard run? Yeah, I was shortchanging him there.
43. Yeah. Why are you doing my guy like that?
He broke through the line practically untouched, and then hit the fifth gear, right? Hit the afterburners. That was what I was impressed with, because I was like, oh, they're going to push him out of bounds. And he's like, no, see ya.
Listen, we got to get better at the front flip, though. The front flip, I was not a fan. I wasn't a fan of the front flip.
Landing on his feet. You didn't like the dismount.
I didn't like the landing. My back hurt watching him land. When he landed, I said, oh, his back's going to hurt tomorrow. We don't need that. We don't need that.
That's funny. I remember the slow-mo going, that's unbelievable. Like that, I thought it was great. But then again, I couldn't come anywhere near close to that, where I'm sure you can. But yeah, I thought it was all fantastic. So a great performance from him. 131 yards.
Yes.
player of the game is J.K. Dobbins. And for me, Quinton Johnson, 5 receptions, 51 yards, 2 touchdowns. And more than anything, just a confidence-building day. I think Quinton Johnston, friends and family will be out having a cold one or pizza and soda.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will.
It's going to be a nice night there in Charlotte, a cool city, by the way. Well, unless you got anything else, Kenyon, we're at our time. You got any final thoughts on today's performance?
I'll say this. I was happy to see penalties cleaned up. Last week was a mess. I think they had 7 or 8 penalties in the game. This week, 3. Really, I will say, and I was happy about third down. I love to see them be able to stay on the field offensively on third down. That was an improvement from last week, and then defensively keeping them off the field. So shout out to the team coming together and cleaning things up and continue to move in the right direction.
Yeah, that's a great point. I totally forgot about that, and you are 100% right. They talked about that too in the pregame. Like that was one of the focal points, something circled on the whiteboard, and they went out and did it. That's a great accomplishment. So good job there, and I hope they can keep that rolling. I don't even know what's going on next week. What is next week? The Steelers, another early start on CBS. Steelers are they off this week or playing tonight? What are they doing?
That'd be an early bye week. That'd be unfortunate.
No, they are already in the books with a win against Atlanta, 18-10. All right, so
okay.
Steelers coming in off a win. Chargers coming in off a win. This is gonna be fun. One of my best friends, the Steelers fan, because he grew up in the same age as me. Grew up in the late 70s, and back then, when you're 10, you're either a Steelers fan or a Cowboys fan, right? So
understandable.
As a kid, before I knew any better, I was a Cowboys fan, and he was a Steelers fan, and is still a Steelers fan. So I'm sure we'll be going back and forth all week. So,
Pete, I knew you were smart. I'm so glad you learned. I'm so glad you evolved and stepped out of that Cowboy stage. Good for you, brother. Good for you.
Exactly. That's what I always say. I was a Cowboy fan. I'll never forget. I was sitting there with my dad in the Super Bowl of '79, I want to say. And my dad's not a huge sports fan. He likes basketball a little bit. But he said, I'll take the orange team and you take the blue team. And I was like, okay. They won that game, and I was a Cowboy fan for a couple of years until I knew better. So
growth, evolution.
Exactly. Kenyon, great stuff. Can't wait till next week. Thank you so much, buddy. That's Kenyon Barner and Pete Fox. This is the Locked On Chargers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel. You can download us wherever you find your podcasts on the Locked On Chargers podcast feed. And we thank you for allowing us to be your source for your team every day. Kenyon, have a good week. We'll talk on Sunday. You guys
you too. See you soon.
Take care. Talk to you guys later.